Hey everybody, welcome to another Jog video. It's your man Jake, aka Friendly Neighborhood American Communist, and you're listening to my wonderful voice rant about any kind of topic while watching miscellaneous footage. Without further ado, let's just jump right in. Donald Trump continues the state-sanctioned annihilation of America and what was left of its institutions. An executive order dissolving the Department of Education, tariff wars, and U.S.-backed military actions in West Asia, this is all just the beginning of Trump's second term. We're only, roughly speaking, 6 months into his term, just an eighth of his remaining term, and the damage he and his conservative cohorts have caused is irreparable and unforgivable. Deportations, illegal imprisonment of activists, loosening protections of things like clean water and the health of the environment, and there will sure be more to come. One such notable draconian policy passed by this current uber-fascist administration is the executive order recently signed. Never mind that there was no political consensus on the topic of executive orders and the orange psychopath just decided to pass this like he has so many other things. Executive orders remain a contentious topic for standard presidents in America, but Donald Trump is so uniquely reckless and stupid that an important question like that is tossed out the window altogether. This new bill revokes what was left of civil rights for the unhoused in this country. Now, American homeless people are losing the right to consent either for or against institutionalization. Cloaking dystopian government policy with rhetoric claiming compassion and invoking empathy. CBS wrote an article that I will now read from to show you how Trump's administration is using language to pretend they are helping the most economically disenfranchised in this country. Here is an excerpt. The president's order asks Attorney General Pam Bondi to reverse judicial precedents and end consent decrees that limit state and local government's ability to commit individuals on the streets who are a risk to themselves or others, according to a White House fact sheet. It also commits federal funding to move people on the streets who are, quote, causing public disorder and that are suffering from serious mental illness or addiction to treatment centers, assisted outpatient treatment, or other facilities. Yeah, I mean, here you can already see, right? Like, they're pretending that this is done for the sake of compassion, for trying to help these people out, right? And they're kind of carefully, very skillfully using the right amount of words, especially words that are acceptable within current American discourse about this type of topic, in order to pretend that they're really doing something about this policy. But in actuality, they're just continuing to revoke civil protections. These people living on the streets have no ability to consent to these new actions. They have no representation in our country like the average person did anyways. So this is all just going to happen without any without any kinds of like pushback or judicial opposition for its actions. This is just going to keep going on completely unattended. And it just goes to show that, the administration and the state powers that be, especially within the capitalist system, are going to be willing to do whatever it takes in order to preserve their own power and carry out their own agenda. And it's always important to realize that, especially when it comes to when a small group of people hold control over society, especially within ours, in a capitalist society, these small group of oligarchs run and control everything. They own everything. Anything that they say goes. To all my fellow Marxists out there, the dictatorship of the bourgeoisie is in full effect in America, right? And anybody who's not a Marxist who's heard that term, right? The dictatorship of the proletariat or the dictatorship of the bourgeoisie isn't meant to be the spooky word where like a couple people rule things or whatever, right? It's a description about the power structure in any society. And the dictatorship term in this definition means a total control over society, right? The dictatorship of the proletariat or the dictatorship of the bourgeoisie just means who has total control over society, right? And it's absolutely irrefutable. Like, the rich are in control of American society when working class people should. And homeless people are just another group of vulnerable people that the current administration and, frankly, the broader American government can use for their own agenda and enact out whatever policy they'd like, while also remembering and considering just how inhumane the average American city suburb resident has towards the homeless. The amount of comments I've seen about people who proclaim themselves good people just talking about homeless people like they're this undesirable group that needs to be rounded up and sent somewhere is chilling to the core. And if you think that they're going to stop there with homeless people, you're delusional. This is just all every act that they carry out, every position they try to instill, every philosophy they try to put onto us is going to be even further encroached. They're going to keep testing their power. It's not going to stop unless they get real and serious pushback. Sorry to take this pivot like this, but it's really important. Rhetoric, it means a lot, man. It goes very far. It has a lot of precedence. It can fool anybody who sees this, from conservatives or liberals, who will think that this is a good policy. But in actuality, I mean, even if you just took 2 seconds to really understand what they're saying from like a reading comprehension standpoint, it's very clear what the intention is. Let's continue. Shifting homeless individuals into long-term institutional settings for humane treatment through the appropriate use of civil commitment will restore public order, the text of the order said. Surrendering our cities and citizens to disorder and fear is neither compassionate to the homeless nor other citizens. My administration will take a new approach focused on protecting public safety. I mean, you see what I mean? Like, this is so obvious. This feels cartoonishly evil, right? We are going to kill the people in order to protect the people. It is time to reinstall order by rounding up all those dirty, gangsters or what? Yeah, I mean, they refer to the homeless as criminal at some point in here, as if just like being homeless means you're already a criminal, right? And when everything in American society is so focused on personal and private property, yeah, I can honestly see how that's a reality, even though it shouldn't be. And the rhetoric here, man, it's so dangerous. It's so disturbing. Let's continue. The executive order, the president also asks Bondi to work with the Department of Health and Human Services, the Department of Housing and Urban Development, and the Department of Transportation to prioritize federal grants for states and cities that enforce prohibitions on open illicit drug use, urban camping, and loitering. Urban camping. You see what I'm saying? Like, they're trying to redefine people who don't even have a place to live as some type of like, oh, they're going camping, right? As if like camping wasn't just like the bourgeois act of pretending to be homeless. I mean, it's more complicated than that. There's nothing wrong with like going camping, but I mean, it's kind of, it says a lot when you have 1 million people plus in America, for example, that have no place to live, but the average person who has any sort of privilege has the ability to go out camping and basically like live an identical life to the homeless while having the safety of a home, back home, right? Just another way to keep class division strong in American society. Prohibitions on open illicit drug use, urban camping, and loitering, the White House said. The order was first reported by USA Today. President Trump is delivering on his commitment to make America safe again and end homelessness across America. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said in a statement, they're gonna end homelessness by ending homeless people. And here it is, by removing vagrant criminals. It's like, what are you talking about? How do you know they're not? They're already putting a stamp on these people without them committing a crime at all. But since the average American, especially in urban environments, has such a visceral reaction, right, with the lack of class consciousness, it only leads a person to reactionary thought, almost always. And living in an environment like that, despite living in a diverse and condensed area, they're going to see these people as like, oh, shouldn't they just pull themselves up by the bootstraps? They deserve to be there. Oh, shouldn't they just get over their addiction? I mean, it's the same talking points that we haven't evaluated at all, that we keep implementing in order to protect ourselves and justify our incredibly animalistic behavior towards those who truly need help. We keep telling ourselves we're good people and that this is a good and free and open society. But there is nothing democratic or free or good about this type of policy being enacted, and you sure as hell are going to see millions of Americans support it. Just par for the course, honestly, for this for the most powerful and wealthiest empire in the history of the world. So yes, by removing vagrant criminals from our streets and redirecting resources towards substance abuse programs, the Trump administration will ensure that Americans feel safe in their own communities and that individuals suffering from addiction or mental health struggles are able to get the help they need. I mean, it's just utter BS. This is total nonsense. These institutions that they're just kind of like throwing homeless people into and just calling it a day, right? As if we're not tearing back what was left of these resources and institutions already, right? They're saying, oh, we're going to get them the help they need, but also we're going to do multi-billion-dollar cuts to Medicare and healthcare, while also giving $175 billion of budget over 10 years to ICE. I mean, At some point, you have to start telling yourself you're going to make a choice to stand against the BS in this government. And I can't, especially to any person who's trying to like save people in your life that are like completely far gone. Like, they already failed their litmus test, you know? And it's time for you and people like me, people like us, those of us who care about humanitarian politics, to do the work ourselves. America is a very fascist nation. Not a lot of people are going to admit that, but it's true. And the sooner that the average American internalizes and realizes that and actualizes that in a full degree, the better. These institutions are for those struggling with mental illness, not for homeless people. Even though a lot, if not most, homeless people suffer from mental health problems, the bulk of which are due to living on the effing streets, this new policy is terrible and horrific and dystopian in so many ways, as I've already talked about. This now gives license, even more license, as if they didn't already have this power already, to authorities such as ICE or the police to round up homeless people and take them somewhere unseen. It revokes what is left of their civil protections, utilizing justifications of the lack of personal property to take people without their voluntary acceptance. With construction of locations like Cop Cities and Alligator Alcatraz, who knows where they're going to take these people? And we're just supposed to trust Republicans in the Trump administration, let alone the useless and stupid Democrats with these policies? I mean, that's insane. This is absurd. This is textbook Nazi, crap. And if you can't see that, you're just stupid. And we need to start calling out people who feel and think like that. We cannot be compromising in a time like now. We have to be relentless. We have to be completely uncompromising right now. We've seen what compromising has done over the last 20 plus years, and it's just made the Democratic Party just as virulently racist and reactionary as the Republicans were 20 years ago. Constantly compromising with those who are insane and fascistic are just going to make you more likely you're gonna to pass these like insane policies. It's gonna bring you closer towards proximity towards that type of philosophy. It's gonna bring you closer to that malevolent type of state intention and state actualization as well. It's time, just to take a stand and say this is wrong. What needs to happen is mass reform, and honestly also revolution, not reform like versus revolution, right? We all know revolution is what we need, but we have existing social safety nets and associated protection agencies for people who need them, and we need reform and rebuilding up of these of these institutions. Instead of funding ICE or police departments in America, building golden domes in the store, and state sponsorship of cryptocurrency, as we saw with Trump's hilariously impotent and pathetic military parade a few weeks or months ago, we should resource instead our existing facilities and expand those facilities into better and stronger entities. We waste so much of our taxpayer dollars funding ethnic cleansing in Palestine or bombing nuclear facilities in Iran. We tell ourselves that financial security for all, let alone those struggling at the point of survival, is an achievable social goal to strive towards and can actually be achieved for the average American, as if that's not totally garbage. It's called the American dream because you have to be asleep to believe it, in the words of George Carlin. We tell ourselves truisms and other meaningless phrases to mentally digest the exorbitant wealth billionaires have accumulated. The capital they own is so immense, so disproportionate compared to the working class counterparts, the people who actually built those rich dweebs' wealth, that we can only continue day by day while somehow juggling the glaring contradictions late-stage capitalism performs on display on a daily basis. We try to manage this every day, and we're struggling to do that, especially now as things are reaching an irrefutable breaking point. The return of the Trump administration marks a new chapter in the collapse of the American empire. The average conservative you will meet in this country is too depraved, too indoctrinated, too spineless, and too whipped to stand against the capital F fascism we are watching. It is unfolding on full display. It's here. It's not coming, it's been here for a while, as if the looming threat of climate change wasn't also a specter to fear. Fascism, real fascism, it's been here for a while, but real irrefutable fascism is here. It's not even hiding. It's not even pretending. No more dog whistles. It's here. black bagging and disappearances, removing health insurance for over 18 million Americans, starting up all these conflicts in West Asia. I mean, I could literally sit here and name so many things that are wrong right now, and in my mind there is little convincing or persuasion to be done, especially to those who are too far gone. The vast majority of any person who has any stake in the current American status quo have made their choice. It's not likely to come from it's not likely to come across fence sitters, on this issue, or let alone the issue of how America is right now. People have chosen their sides, and we should just stick to them and start building them up instead of trying to save people who have taken the wrong side. But to any person who sees this or hears this, I just want you to know personally, from at least someone telling you what is happening is not normal and it's not okay. What you're seeing is not normal and not okay. Yes, admittedly, the United States of America has always been a fascistic country and performing, these aesthetics of democracy domestically while truly being an oligarchy, and abroad we see complete unadulterated imperialism. America has inflicted so much destruction on the world in the last century, and frankly even before that as well. But things are changing. People are waking up. Almost a third of American youth are open to communism. Over half of American youth have positive associations with socialism. Zohran Mamdani's victorious nomination for New York City mayor also signals major change. And while disappointments like AOC or Bernie Sanders continue, and potentially Zohran as well, depending on how his mayoral run goes if he wins the seat in the fall, the rising tides of change cannot be stopped. Change is coming to America sooner or later. Communities in the country, from Latin Americans to white Americans to firefighters to average workers, are standing up against the utter BS we have all been experiencing for a decade or more. People are reaching their breaking point. We don't have to accept any of this garbage that's happening from our government. We don't have to sit idly by while the vulnerable or innocent suffer under the boots of bullies. American education has painted an image to its average citizen that our nation is strong, free, and democratic. And the last few years in this country have disproved so many of these falsities and unveiled the truth behind the illusions of our nation. While the world is in a state of pain and suffering and misery, you don't have to accept that. No human being who has ever walked this earth owes suffering the satisfaction of your misery. We can choose differently. We can build something new. We can build up our communities again in a real way, redesign mutual aid systems internally, ignite the fires of local community and collective democracy, and show our fellow Americans and the broader international community that we say no to fascism, we say no to destruction, and that it is time to have a democratic and working class revolution in this country. The seeds have been planted, the stakes have been raised, and Pandora's box cannot be closed after it has been opened. The question is, what will you do now? And with that said, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed my video. Feel free to like and subscribe. I'd love to have you as part of this channel and community, even if it's still starting out and growing small. I would also love to hear what any of you think in the comments. And I hope to see anybody and everybody in my next videos as well. Thanks again for watching or listening. Peace to you, peace to everyone, peace to us all, and free Palestine.